It's late March, I'm in North Devon, and after a break of nearly 4 months, I'm back on the southwest coast path again. If you haven't guessed already, do keep up. My walk today starts at Westward Ho, which is the only place in the UK with an exclamation mark in its name. Apparently, the village is named after an 1855 novel by some chap called Charles Kingsley. The book is about some bloke with a friend called Drake chasing some Spaniards around in the 1500s. You may be able to tell that I haven't read it. Have you? Do let me know in the comments. I would be very interested to know. So, if you start the coast path in Poole and walk the other way around, how do you read this? Do you want to read it? Nah. For some reason, the cycle house didn't look that scary. These were exceedingly good. On leaving Westward Ho, the walk follows the former Bideford to Appledore railway line. Originally conceived in 1860, it got off to a slow start, with the first section opening in 1901 and the last in 1908. That white blob in the middle of the screen is the first glimpse of Clovelly. I believe they intended to continue the railway to Hartland and finally viewed, which I think was just a tad ambitious. The line ran until the First World War, when it was taken over by the military. After that, it never really reopened. Very little of it remains today, apart from this very nice flat path. Once we left the sheltered bay, the wind increased, making it hard to stand, let alone hold the camera. So I apologise if the picture is a bit shaky from here onwards. How far I get today really depends on two things. The first is what condition I'm in. After all, I haven't done a real hill for nearly 6 months. And the second is, after one of the wettest starts in history, a few storms, I really don't know what condition a path's going to be in. If it's not good, I may have to bail at Bucks Mill, but hopefully I will make it all the way to Clovelly. Although there are a handful of buses between Clovelly and Bideford each day, I didn't know if I or the path would make it that far, so my better half has kindly offered to collect me from wherever I drop and drive me back to Westward Ho. On Green Cliff is the remains of a lime kiln which actually used coal mined from these cliffs. Coal mining is a bit of a rarity in Devon. Sometimes it's good to look back. I think the headland on the far left is Baggy Point, where I made a fool of myself trying to climb a big white stick. Another glimpse of Clovelly. I'm sure it's not getting any closer. I've heard about this bit. Apparently you climb down a cliff, walk along the beach for about 3 steps before climbing back up again. I didn't realise we were that high up. And did I take any driftwood home? I'm afraid not. Okay, it's a bit more than 3 steps, and we do have a bridge. till now the path is reasonably dry. Another glimpse Clovelly. I'm sure it's not getting any closer. This delightful property is Castle Bungalow, which dates from the 1920s, and it's operated as a holiday home by the Landmark Trust. The bungalow is actually a prefab made by the Bolton and Paul Company that was founded in 1797 and only disappeared in 1999. I often wonder why there's more castles on the south coast than on the north coast of Devon. Was it because the Welsh were very friendly? Or perhaps they couldn't swim? Here we have Peppercombe Coach House, which is a welcome break from the wind. It even has a tap serving drinking water. Another glimpse of Clovelly. I'm sure it's not getting any closer. Here we begin a very windy and steep descent into Bucks Mill, which is a very old settlement with at least one mill serving the manor of Bucks. Due to the geography, the village is quite remote and the close-knit community was often referred to as a village with one surname, allegedly. Due to time restraints and the freezing wind, I decided not to visit the beach with its waterfall. At Bucks Fizz, it was time for making my mind up whether I continued to Clovelly or not. For some reason I found the climb out of Bucks Fizz quite strenuous, but it soon leveled off fortunately. This section was muddier than the earlier sections and you had to pick your footing carefully. It was also more popular and met several walkers and dogs going in both directions. This field had a steep climb. And more trees. this wasn't the worst obstruction on the path. At one point I had to crawl under a large fallen tree. And more trees. And finally onto Hobby Drive, which was commissioned by Sir James Hamlin Williams. It was built between 1811 and 1829 and initially used French prisoners of war, later employing local labour once a small disagreement with a bloke wearing a funny hat had been resolved. Apparently it's quite a scenic route, especially if you like trees. To be honest, it was a bit of a long walk after walking from Westward Ho, but at least it was dry and mostly flat. It was also very popular and I passed several people with their dogs. This bench marks an extension to the drive in 1901. Could have included some cushions. Here's Clovelly again. This time I think it's getting closer. Here we're passing the top of the village. If I had more time I would have walked down, but not today, Josephine. And wasn't I glad to see this? Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, there's a button down there somewhere for that. Today's walk was just over 12 miles, and while most of it was reasonably level, some of it was quite steep in places. My total elevation gain was 576 metres, or nearly 1900 feet in old money. That leaves me with roughly 530 miles or so to go, and the question is, will I get to Cornwall before Christmas?